get to the news. According to ex-White House press secretary Stephanie Grisham's new book, former President Trump was once asked to go vegan for charity, but if you didn't lose him at vegan, I'm sure you lost him at charity. In the same book, former Trump administration staffer Stephanie Grisham describes the White House as, quote, a clown car on fire running at full speed into a warehouse full of fireworks. But she apparently doesn't mention the part where she called shotgun. Former President Trump last week called into a prophecy-focused conservative Christian talk show and said, quote, nobody has done more for Christianity or for evangelicals or for religion itself than I have. Really? Nobody? You can't think of a single person? Jesus Christ. Former President Trump reportedly tells people constantly that he's running for president in 2024. Well, he doesn't tell everyone. It's your year, Mike. After postponing last week's vote on the bipartisan infrastructure package, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Saturday set a new Halloween deadline because nothing is spookier to Democrats than actually passing legislation. According to a recent survey, 10% of Americans said that they feel very pessimistic about the rest of 2021, while the other 90% said, it's 2021? Clint Eastwood on Friday won a $6 million lawsuit against a Lithuanian company that used his image to promote CBD products. I'm not sure how they used his image, but I'm guessing as before. Passengers on a Spirit Airlines plane in Atlantic City, New Jersey were forced to deplane over the weekend after a large bird caused an engine fire. And this is sad, that bird still had a better time than everyone who spent the weekend in Atlantic City. According to a new book, former First Lady Melania Trump obsessively read her own press coverage because you can only reread your marriage contract so many times. And finally, according to a new survey, 42% of Americans said that they feel bad if they don't do anything productive all day. Fortunately, clicking this counts as productive. Facebook went offline yesterday for over 6 hours. Wow, they finally found something they couldn't fix with horse paste. Facebook apologized yesterday after all three of its social media platforms went offline for 6 hours and said it was due to a, quote, faulty configuration change, adding, after a quick reboot, he started working again. President Biden said yesterday that he couldn't guarantee that the federal government will not default on debt payments due later this month. So, in addition to everything else going on, we've now entered the uncut gems phase of his presidency. Right now, he's on the phone to de Blasio saying, put all of Montana on red. During a Zoom session yesterday with the House Progressive Caucus, President Biden reportedly said that he's frustrated with Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Well, you know it's bad when a 78-year-old man is on Zoom, and that's not the frustrating part. During a briefing yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki showed a chart of how much debt was accumulated under former President Trump and said, quote, Republicans spent like drunken sailors over the last 4 years. And in some cases, they also looked like them. Former White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham's book was released today. Find it in the complicit but needs money section. The New York Times published an op-ed yesterday titled, What's Wrong with Kyrsten Sinema? Well, for one thing, I think she may be colorblind. Former presidential candidate Andrew Yang announced yesterday that he has changed his voting registration from Democrat to Independent, raising the question, if a tree falls in the woods, can we listen to that instead of Andrew Yang? And finally, the rights to the Folgers, the best part of waking up jingle, recently sold at auction for more than $90,000, while the Cars for Kids jingle was taken out back and shot in the head. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer spoke yesterday on the Senate floor and said that the U.S. is getting, quote, dangerously close to hitting the debt ceiling, which is scary because there has never been a group of people less likely to spontaneously raise the roof. President Biden had lunch today with Vice President Kamala Harris, and even that bill couldn't get figured out. In a new interview, ex-UN Ambassador Nikki Haley said that she calls former President Trump a friend, while Trump calls her Linda. The U.S. Capitol Police yesterday forcibly removed a man from a suspicious SUV parked outside of the Supreme Court. They knew something was off when the back window didn't have this sticker on it. That's right, the Capitol Police removed a man from a suspicious SUV parked outside of the Supreme Court. The man was apparently so suspicious, Republicans want him on the Supreme Court. Facebook released a statement yesterday explaining the cause of Monday's 6-hour-long outage. And man, she is screwing everything up lately. I unplugged the server so I could charge my phone. Not sorry. Singer Adele announced yesterday she'll release a new single called Easy on Me later this month. Incidentally, a new single is also who's going to listen to it the most. Poor lady, take a stock photo. She's like, this will never come up. They won't use this one. More apartments in Manhattan sold in the third quarter of this year than any other time in the last 32 years. So now the only affordable neighborhood in New York is WeHo, meaning west of the Hudson. And yeah, it's New Jersey. You have a view of Manhattan. The fast food chain Wendy's announced a partnership with Kellogg yesterday to release a chocolate frosty flavored cereal. Not to be outdone, McDonald's is releasing a McFlurry cereal that is temporarily out of service. And finally, according to the latest rankings, former President Trump is no longer on Forbes magazine's list of the 400 richest Americans, but on the bright side, he's still made the list of the 46 greatest presidents. According to the latest poll numbers, President Biden's approval rating is 38%, which is the lowest it's been since taking office. Well, come on, America, what do you want him to do? Something? According to a new Senate report, former President Trump directly asked the Justice Department on 9 separate occasions to overturn the 2020 election. 9? Was he in the backseat of the car? Will you overturn the election? No. Will you overturn the election? No. Will you overturn the... In her new book, former White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham writes that Ivanka Trump used to ask her to suppress unflattering news stories about her. Here's what that would look like. According to a new report, former President Trump did not want to use anesthesia for his secret 2019 colonoscopy because he did not want Mike Pence to temporarily assume power. But joke's on him because Mike Pence is anesthesia. Mr. President, I just want to sincerely thank you for your leadership. Okay, he's out. Today was Russian President Vladimir Putin's 69th birthday, and I think I know what he wished for. Universal Studios in Orlando has announced that the Shrek 4D simulator show will close next year because it turns out nobody actually wanted to smell Shrek. Netflix announced yesterday that it will release 11 new holiday movies before Christmas, and I think they're running low on ideas. And finally, in a new interview, singer Meghan Trainor said she and her husband have 2 toilets next to each other in their bathroom so they can spend more time together. In case you're wondering why there was no Stars They're Just Like Us section this week. And that, you guys, was a monologue.